What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mags. So unfortunately I have to start this video on a bit of a somber mood, as we have had a fallen brother from the Nufc fan base. Colin Locke, of course, photographer for the Newcastle United women's side, has of course passed away sadly. He thoughts go out of course to his family and friends in this hard time. Of course, he captured a lot of special moments over the years for the Newcastle United lasses, especially during the recent back-to-back promotions, which have seen them get to the Championship. Like I say, my thoughts and prayers go out to Colin Locke, who is a die-hard Newcastle United fan. Mostly, of course, supporting the lasses, but obviously supporting the men as well. But he will be sorely missed from the Newcastle United fan base. And on behalf of all Newcastle United fans out there, and on behalf of the viewers of my channel, my thoughts and prayers go out to Colin Locke and to his family and friends in what is literally a very, very hard time. I've been here before. I've felt this myself with family members that have passed, and it's not a good thing to go through. It really is horrible. It really is sad when family members pass, friends pass, and all I can say is my thoughts, my prayers go out to his family and friends during this very hard time. And rest in peace, Colin Locke. Moving on, of course, to a slightly more happier note. But like I say, only slightly happier note. We have seen some news of Kieran Trippier, of course, being rumoured with a move away from Newcastle United. Now, obviously, I'd love Kieran Trippier to stay, but he is going to turn 34 in September. Newcastle, of course, according to reports, are rumoured to be willing to accept offers in the region of £15 million for the England international, like I say, who turns 34 in September. There are several Saudi Pro League clubs interested in the signature of Kieran Trippier. Why wouldn't there be? The lad is still absolutely fantastic. He still knows how to play the game, even at 33 years of age. And he's had some fantastic seasons for us since joining in January of 2022. He's enjoyed some fantastic seasons, often as captain, but in the 23-24 campaign, we saw a drastic decline in his form. That could be down to fitness worries and stuff along that line, in a campaign which had several errors leading to detrimental goals conceded. Newcastle say Tino Livramento is a more than capable first team candidate in the right back position going into next season, with Emil Kraft and exciting youngster Leo Shaha set to be the backup, of course, to Tino Livramento. So this might be a chance for us to try and capitalise a little bit on Kieran Trippier, with several Saudi Pro Leagues interested in the signature of him. Maybe get him off the books before he turns to that 34 age in September, and of course try and get a little bit more money back off of that deal, and then hopefully try and bring in somebody that can be a really good replacement for Kieran Trippier. Obviously we've got Tino Livramento, Emil Kraft and Leo Shaha, like I say, but we're also recently being linked in the news with moves for Malik Fall, Tamori as well. So both capable, at least Malik Fall is capable of playing it right back as well as right centre back. So obviously that would be an option and an avenue that could go down, to bring in somebody that would give with that little bit extra cover as well to go along with Tino Livramento, Emil Kraft and Leo Shaha. We're also being heavily linked with moves for a few other players as well. My thoughts right now, obviously we need to start seeing some signings coming in because we haven't done a great deal of them. The areas that I would look at trying to improve the most this season, in the key areas that we need to improve on, would be the right centre back role. It is an area that we've been looking at for quite a while. Obviously, getting in Malik 4 or Tamori would help in that position. And then, of course, you've got the right wing as well, where we need to be looking at bringing somebody in there as well. A lot of options have been talked about. One of the ones that I would go with would be either Federico Chais or Morgan Gibbs-White in that right wing position, because both of them would massively improve. With another one that's been talked about is Jared Bourne, but there's a pretty heavy tax on English players, and for the price of what Bourne would cost you, you could probably get two players for that price. So we could probably go down an avenue of bringing in maybe Malik 4 and Morgan Gibbs-White. So Malik 4 right centre back with that option, also being played at right back as well, and then Morgan Gibbs-White down that right wing. Obviously that would then mean that we'd be looking at moving on Almiron, which we are. There's interest in Almiron as well coming from the Saudi League. If we could get some sort of deal going over in Saudi Arabia for Almiron, that would be great. Obviously, try and get some money off of the Almiron deal, get some money out of the Trippier deal. And again, before the season's even kicked off, we're seeing the likes of Callum Wilson succumbing to injuries again. It looks like he's going to miss a reasonable chunk of the season, as he's got a back injury. He's had an operation on it as well, from what I've picked up in reports, reading around online. Wilson's already had an operation on his back, so it looks like he's going to be out for a reasonable chunk of the season, which isn't great. He's just literally becoming the walking wounded now. And I think it's about time, we try and see if we can get something out of that Callum Wilson deal. See if we can maybe move him on for some money and get in somebody that is going to be a really good backup to Alexander Isak. Look in along the lines of maybe an Ivan Toney. We could maybe have a look at Ivan Toney to bring him in. There's other options out there, of course, as well, that we're looking at. Maybe you could look at players like Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa, maybe. He seemed to do pretty well during the Euros. There's plenty of options out there. Let us know some of your options down in the comments below. But I've got to say, just doesn't look good for Callum Wilson. Once again, picking up an injury before the season's even began as well. He just, like I say, it just seems to be the walking wounded over the past few seasons now. He just seems to be getting worse as he gets older. He seems to be picking up injuries a lot easier than what he was, when he was younger. And I guess that's kind of part and parcel with the injuries that he's picked up over his career, hamstring injuries, and now he's got a back injury as well. It's just not looking good for Callum Wilson. That's what I'm going to say on that one. But there's plenty of options out there that we can go through and make a move on for get somebody that can be a backup to Alexander Isak, playing a rotation with Isak as well, because we don't want to be putting too much pressure on Isak. We don't want to be playing him literally every single game for a full 90. You do want to be able to have a chance to switch him out as well, because we don't want to put too much strain on Isak, because we don't want him getting injured. We want him to be fit, we want him to be healthy, because when Isak's healthy, we're absolutely strong in attack. Then there's other areas in the field that we need to look at, other areas in the team we need to look out for players to go into as well. The likes of midfield, with Elliot Anderson now departing, the club and going to Nottingham Forest. You know, we need to find some sort of option to put in that centre midfield, you know, to replace Elliot Anderson, who's departed, of course, to Nottingham Forest. So there's a lot to be done, and we're getting closer and closer to going away to Japan as well. Only 1 week away from going away to Japan to take on the Japanese sides in pre-season tour over there. And then, of course, not that long, and then we'll be back in the UK, being able to, of course, go for the Salah Cup against the teams at St James's Park, and then, you know, the Premier League season starts. So we definitely need to be going in there and signing some players, getting some players under our belt, and, you know, trying to improve our squad. Obviously, it's been a little bit difficult because Paul Mitchell's came in as the new sporting director. We've had James Bunce come in as the new performance director. Then there's been the whole talk of, you know, Eddie Howe possibly going to the England job. Eddie Howe, you know, voicing his concerns about the structural changes at Newcastle United, which now is being, you know, confirmed by the club. They've pulled Eddie Howe and the coaching staff in, had a talk to them, and reassured them, you know, that he's still going to have the decision. He's still going to get, you know, to make a decision on the signings that are made. And that was one of the reasons why Eddie was voicing his concerns, because he doesn't want, you know, players being signed that he doesn't want in Newcastle United. He wants to be able to make, you know, a decision on who gets to come to the team, who, you know, would buy as well, because no manager wants to go out there, you know, and field a team that they haven't chose, they haven't had any choice on at all. And Eddie Howe is, you know, similar right the way along. You know, he's getting a chance to pick out of a list of players to join Newcastle United. Obviously, the list will be compelled together by Paul Mitchell, and then Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell sit down and they'll look at it, and, you know, they'll decide together on who the right player is to bring into the club. But that is, you know, what we've been looking at. That's what we've been trying to get, and that's what we were trying to get when we had Cashworth, of course, as the sporting director. But it wasn't going to work in that way, you know, for Eddie Howe and Cashworth together. They weren't going to be able to work together in that way. But hopefully Mitchell and Eddie will be able to work together, you know, hand in hand on the decisions. And one of the reasons why Mitchell took the job as well, he said himself, was because Eddie Howe, yeah, you know, he wanted to work with Eddie Howe, and hopefully, you know, they can work together really well. And if they can, then that will, of course, help us moving forward, because Paul Mitchell is one of the best sporting directors out there, if not the best sporting director out there. And then, you know, compare that with Eddie Howe as well manager, you know, could be a really good working relationship there. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. I don't want this video to go on forever. I just wanted to get my thoughts out, of course, on quite a few different topics that's come up in recent days, weeks, of course. But remember, hit like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all for the next one. However, lads.